And welcome back directly. For the black areas I'll use scale 75 flat black, mostly because it gives a nice flat appearance that will add a bit of contrast, and we can go rather thin with that and layer it up. Using it almost like a wash. Oh, from where comes this accent? And as the boots will probably be leather too, and the fact that the brown undercoat will shine through this layer a bit will spare us the effort of painting it on. What about painting those straps in black too, because I fear that the Mornfang would interfere with the other brown leather parts, and of course the top knot will look great in black too. Got the leather armband over here. Okay. Maybe add some definition with black over here, just a bit, to get the gun separate from the knife. The metal's a bit more black than the rest. Now we have to be sure that the paint is dry when we go to dry brushing. So maybe we'll leave that to the next video. And well, here I'm actually doing tutorial videos somehow, despite the fact that I keep telling that I don't like to do that, but today it seems I am quite in the mood. So lucky you. Let's leave this to dry for a few minutes. I'm taking pictures because the base coating is pretty much done, and then I'll see you back here for the dry brushing. So welcome back. Next step will be dry brushing again. And a lot of magic will happen here. For once we will build an additional layer of highlights, and we will get rather smooth transitions of parts, and we will, yeah, mainly it's about the highlights. Getting back the strands of the hair. The thing is now that on all the areas where I left the rim unpainted, I will actually dry brush a highlight automatically on the on the chipped paint, because the paint will get caught on the dark brown, the edges of the darker brown areas. Let's be a bit more thorough on the skull, because it will be almost white. Get definition on the boots. And we could do a bit more on the face. There's muscles over here. All the areas that will that will be the main areas that you will see later. And we have to get all the edges of the other parts so you can still see them, else they will be lost and it will look, yeah, well, flat in a way. I have forgotten to paint this area brown again, which actually clashes a bit with the brown on the holster of the shotgun, so I will go a bit more black on that. And there will be another quite easy fix on that too. Adding a few scratches to the leather over here. Go a bit into detail on the front. Okay. So much to this stage of dry brushing. We will dry brush this model at least one more time after the first highlights are applied. And the last step after washing the model will be dry brushing too. Okay, so that's it so far. See you later. So here's the next stage, painting the Ork Boss. First layer of highlights using Mechanicum Standard Gray, Blazing Orange and Ogrim camo. We'll use the Mechanicus standard for the base highlight of the metal parts. And we really don't know why I keep using the we instead of I. I'm leaving a great chunk of blue so we don't lose the cold tone. And I'm leaving the edges quite rough too. Can go a bit thicker with the paint here, which will give us more detail when we dry brush again. Try not to paint the Celestra Gray highlight we dry brushed on. If you do, it's no problem. Because we will re-establish that later. The more I leave of the blue base coat, the more defined the area gets. And you can even add scratches here and there. That should surface with gray. Now to ochre and caramel for the skin, and I'm not sure at this point if that color is good. It might be too light. I like it because it has a yellowish tint to it, and what I want to do is just pick out a few areas around the dry brushed the white dry brushed areas to make the skin pop. That was too much underneath here. We'll correct that later. I think this was just the right choice. Don't be afraid to paint over the light gray dry brush. It will add to build up a smooth transition. And don't fear to go rough at places to add some texture. But again, less is more in this case. Don't know if I have said that before regarding this model. Probably not. Cool thing about this paint is that it's layer paint, so you can layer it quite well. It really can really work the tone up to the desired effect by just layering and layering stuff on top of each other. So that took a bit of time. So far. So now let's see if my choice of blazing orange for some rust effect is the right one. Really not sure about it. areas where I'm sure that it won't stain other parts too much, I will use it like a wash, while on areas like here I rather stipple it on. Maybe I will redefine that with a sponge later. Don't apply too much on the blue areas because we want them mostly cold. Okay. So, I think the skin has quite the right tone, and the leather looks pretty good too, so I will add a bit yellow to the rust and a final light grey highlight to the metals. And then we'll do another dry brush, and after that wash the whole model with Acrylic Earth Shade and Athonian Camera Shade, I think. See you then. Welcome back. So the next step, we'll be adding a few more details, a few more highlights, at least to the rust with a bit of Evelyn Sunset, and I decided to go with scale 75 black metal to do the metallics on this guy. We want to be really scarce with the yellow. Because it's easy to do too much, and we probably will redo a few areas later after the wash is applied. Don't be afraid if you have too much yellow on the rusty parts. It will tone down considerably when we apply the dry brush soon. So what the overall look of this model that I'm trying to catch is something in between manageable, good-looking tabletop standard and with a touch of display model feel to it. As this is an Ork Boss, and it's one of the more present models of the army, he gets a bit of extra time on details and stuff. The regular boys will probably not be that complicated. We'll lose some steps on them probably. I really try to apply the metallics scarcely. You can see it here really well how they reflect the light, and I don't want to, or I want to maximize the contrast I get out of them without losing too much of the blue undercoat. I'm not sure if I can will manage this in the end. But this is a test model. We'll see how it looks after dry brushing and washing. So I think that's nice enough. Let's give it a dry brush with Celestra Gray again, and we will see if we need to make a few defining lines. To further the effect of a reflecting, partly reflecting metallic surface. But I think we'll leave it here. No, we need a deeper red for the face area and the tongue. My new favorite red is Galvoback red. Not too much, just a hint. Oops. Let's leave this to dry, and then I'll dry brush the head again, and then we'll see how we wash this guy.